Have you ever stood at the doorstep of your own family's home, yet felt like a stranger? Have you ever carried their burdens, saved them from breaking, only to realize that when you needed them most, you were invisible? This is not just a story about rejection. It's about glass houses, broken trust, and the strength to finally walk away. I used to believe family was like a house, solid, warm, a place where the walls caught you when the world outside froze you to the bone. But that November, standing on the porch of the home I grew up in, the wind slicing through my coat, I realized some houses aren't made of brick. Some are made of glass, pretty from a distance, fragile up close, and ready to shatter the second you lean too hard. My children's hands clung to mine, small, trembling, their breaths fogging the twilight air. I knocked. No answer. And just like that, I understood. I wasn't part of their story anymore. I was a ghost haunting the threshold. I'm Luke. And this is the confession I've carried like a stone lodged in my chest. When I finally stepped into the kitchen, the smell of rosemary and something unspoken hit me harder than the cold. Sophie, my daughter, clutched my sleeve, eyes wide, as if she could sense the cracks beneath the floor. Theo balanced the pecan pie I'd baked for hours, his knuckles white, guarding it like it was our only offering. The dining room sparkled with polish and precision. 10 chairs, 10 plates, napkins folded into origami shapes. But none for us. My mother, Grace, scrubbed a spotless pan. My father, Henry, sipped whiskey, staring out the window like it held answers. Caleb, my brother, sprawled across the couch, his laughter sharp enough to cut glass. His wife, Mara, lingered nearby with a smile that looked stitched on. "Happy Thanksgiving," I said, forcing my voice steady. No one turned. Nora, my sister, the eternal peacemaker, finally offered a strained smile. "Luke, we weren't sure you'd come." I blinked. "You invited me." She shrugged. "Caleb thought maybe you'd changed your plans." Sophie tugged my hand. "Daddy, where do we sit?" I scanned the table again. 10 seats. Not one for us. "You can set the kids up in the den," Nora offered quickly. "Pizza, a movie, they'll love it." Theo's eyes met mine, silent, searching. He didn't argue, but I could read the question in his stillness. Why don't they want us? I tucked them into the den. Paper plates. A movie flickering across the screen. Sophie's crayons scattered to the floor, Theo pulling a blanket over her legs with quiet precision. "When are we going home?" he whispered. "Soon," I said. My throat ached. Back in the kitchen, laughter rattled through Caleb, fueled by bourbon. Grace poured more wine, staring into the bottle like it might explain her silence. I placed my casserole on the counter beside untouched appetizers, its steam curling upward like a plea. "We might head out after dessert," I said, testing the waters. No response. Caleb raised his glass. "Always on the move, huh, Luke? Single dad life never stops." Mara's laugh rang too loud, too brittle. Something in me snapped. "Actually," I said, my voice firm, steady, "I need to say something." The room went still. Even Henry turned. "I'm done. Done carrying all of this. The calls at midnight when bills pile up. The errands, the loans I covered when Caleb crashed again. I've been holding up this family like scaffolding, and I'm finished." Caleb scoffed. "What, splitting a phone bill is carrying us now?" I met his gaze. "You haven't paid your own rent in years." Grace froze mid-motion, her voice soft but sharp. "We never asked you to, Luke." The silence that followed was heavy, final. I gathered Sophie's coat and Theo's blanket. Theo appeared in the doorway, pizza crust in hand, his eyes still asking that same quiet question. I nodded. It was time. We drove home through first snow, the world hushed and white. The kids leaned against each other, dozing in the back seat. The car smelled like pie, like promises I meant to keep this time, for us.
He rolled down the window, letting the cold sting my skin.
The truth burned clear. I was never part of their house. I was just scaffolding, dismantled once the structure stood tall again. Days later, the calls came. Nora first, clipped voicemails stacking up. Grace, scattered messages that never quite said anything. Then Mara, a text, Caleb's in trouble. Can you help?
Trouble.
That's what they called it when Caleb drained Dad's savings on another pipe dream.
Trouble.
When the foreclosure notice slapped onto the front door, not one of them called to apologize. They called because their glass house was breaking, and they wanted me to glue the pieces back together. Nora showed up at my door, bagels in hand, eyes tired.
It's bad, Luke.
Mom and Dad can't handle it. Caleb's sinking them. They need you. I leaned against the counter, unread messages blinking on my phone. They need me, I echoed, the words sharp as steel. But where were they when I needed them? When Sophie was sick. When Theo asked why his grandparents never called. Nora looked down. Their family.
You always fix things.
Not anymore, I said quietly. For the first time, I felt light. That night, Sophie fell asleep in my bed, warm against my chest. Theo sprawled on the couch, book slipping from his hands. On the fridge, Sophie's drawing waited, 3 stick figures beneath a crooked sun.
Theo. No one missing.
I used to think love meant carrying everyone else's burdens, like a bridge groaning under endless weight. But real love is choosing who you build your house with. And my house? It's here. With them. The coals stopped. The old house sold.
The family scattered like leaves in a storm.
I hope they find their footing. But I'm not looking back.
Amir, where Sophie Slaughter feels the walls and Theos qui est strength steady me.
We're building something unbreakable. And that is enough. If this story touched you, if you've ever carried the weight of a family that only remembered you when they needed saving, share your story. Drop a comment, let your voice be heard. Because sometimes the family we build is stronger than the one we're born into.